Question: what does the Knight's Edge look like? Imagine. Use your mind. That was easy, right? Now, what does the Daedalus Stormbow look like? Think, viewer. Think! It wasn't that hard, wasn't it? But, do you know what the Toxicarp looks like? If you got it right, congrats! Go outside, or you cheater! Why am I quizzing you on how much pixels can you remember from a sprite? Well, it's to test how familiar you are with what those Terraria weapons look like. And in this video, I will be illustrating 3 Terraria weapons from memory to see how accurate they are from the original sprite. But that's too easy. So I will try and illustrate more obscure weapons. What if it's like the leaf blower? Where'd you get the connection from? Let's start it off with the Bladetongue. Now, before we continue with the video, I should thank the key contributors that made this video possible. You! For those of you who commented on my post on which weapons you want me to draw from memory, thank you. Now, what do I know about the Bladetongue? Well, it's a melee weapon that can be fished from the Crimson. It shoots Ichor bolts when swung, and that's about it. Now, what I thought about the weapon in my head is a fleshy sword with growths on the blade and hilt, with an eye on the center of the guard, and teeth on the tip of the blade. And what's this? A 30-minute timer? Yes! I just want to make the basic outline and color because this isn't an actual Terraria weapon illustration video. Anyway, here's the sword. Why does it look thick? You see that indent on the end of the blade? The sides will be layered with teeth. And the center of the guard? We will be adding an eyeball here. At least, that's what I remember. I am surprised. I wasted 21 minutes on making the outline. Then, I added those vines, blood vessels, growths on the blade and hilt of the sword. For some reason, I decided to flatten this part of the hilt. This was basically just me running out of ideas. Then, since I didn't have enough time, I colored it to make it at least look presentable. And this is the final result! Wow, it's horrible. Let's try and compare it to the actual sprite. This is what I think the Bladetongue looks like. Now, I think there was a tongue in this, but I forgot to add it. I kind of forgot that this was actually supposed to be a fish. And yeah. So, the outline looks way off from the actual sprite. You could have just drawn a tongue as a sword and it would be more accurate than this. Alright then, this is me using the Bladetongue as the reference. Surprisingly, the blade is a tongue. I know, right? And I was correct. There's an eye on this part of the sword, with a tentacle guard and a spiny hilt. I did forget to add certain details, but if you would like me to turn this into a fully fledged illustration, subscribe. If you want to. But I know you want that Terrablade artwork. Next is the Betsy's Wrath. Now, from the name, it's a weapon that is dropped from Betsy, a post-golem boss that serves as the final boss of the Tier 3 Old Ones army. I think it's a magic weapon that shoots a fireball or something like that. I also think it looks like Betsy as well. Anyway, I don't know how to draw a dragon, and since I won't be using any references, because that feels like cheating, I will just have to use my imagination and see if it looks like a dragon. And use the imagination I did. I made this. Looks like a flying triceratops on a popsicle stick. Then I gave it some horns, because I don't actually remember what Betsy looks like. And for some reason, it now looks like a dog. Then I made the legs. And as copium for this failure of a recreation, I tried to enhance the wings because I thought that would derail the perception of this monstrosity. Like, come on! It looks like a flying triceratops dog goat thingy. And the worst part about this is, I am not good at drawing animals or anything like that. I would definitely get the proportions wrong and it would look like an epic failure. Anyway, doesn't Betsy have a belly? A yellow glowing belly. I have honestly no idea what else I could add. So I just modified some elements to what I perceived as more accurate. Doesn't even know the sprite, shake my head. And I gave up. Like, screw this, man. Any other additions will make this artwork even worse. But I did think that I was on the right track. And when comparing it to the actual sprite, it wasn't too far off. Yet it does show how many little details I miss. I didn't know Betsy had a horn on their chin. Wait, on the sides of her face as well? Eyebrows and hair? Are these hands? Anyway, I was supposed to remake this, but I really want this to be part of the Terraria illustration series. Like, a future part. So I guess you have to wait for that. It's funny that the hardest weapon to illustrate ended up being the most accurate. Okay, since this comment suggested 3 weapons, and I wanted to pick 1 weapon per comment, I decided to make a spin-a wheel for these 2 weapons that I had never heard of. I guess Roman candle will be for later. And before we start illustrating this weapon, it's time to imagine the Terraria sprite! Let's start off with the Terra Blade. That's a bit too easy. Well then, do you know what the Staff of Earth looks like? Probably a lot harder than you think. Now, can you imagine the Charged Blaster Cannon? Wait, what? The Iggs Canon is an exclusive weapon. If you remember Lepus, the Easter event in Terraria, and suspicious looking eggs, then you probably remember this weapon. Now, what about the sprite? I had a hunch that it would look like the Star Cannon, but for some reason, I didn't really buy into that. I started to overthink. What if it doesn't look like the Star Cannon? What if it's shorter? What if it's like the Leaf Blower? Wait, but where do you get the connection from? So, instead of making a Star Cannon replica, I made this. A gun rocket launcher thingy. Huh? And you know what? I just went with it. It doesn't even look close compared to the sprite. And even worse, the color. Yep, I committed it into turning it into some sort of hybrid monstrosity. And I promise you, I tried. Well, actually no, I gave up trying at this point. And after 30 minutes, I made this? I'm sorry to any Terraria fan that's watching this. And guess what? Comparing it to the actual sprite, my hunch was right. It does look like a Star Cannon. Well, I guess I'm left with this now. Maybe if I just remake it. And as you can see, the differences are glaringly obvious.